Transcripts and recordings of the podcast may not be used for any purpose without the direct written permission of the podcast owner. Welcome to Light It Up, a podcast about resilient women balancing motherhood, their careers, personal lives, and all of the challenges that come along with being a superwoman. Each week, you'll be motivated to take action to lead, inspire, transform, and empower. Now, here's your host, Dr. Aginah Muhammad. Welcome to a brand new episode of Light It Up. I am your host, Dr. Aginah Muhammad. I'm excited to have you all join me today as we continue our Scholarship Awareness Month series. I'm excited to share a story that truly shows what preparation, discipline, and determination can accomplish. Today's guest is a current college freshman who earned over, and I hope I got this right, but who earned over $2.4 million in scholarship offers as a senior at William J. Bogan Computer Technical High School. And their journey offers powerful lessons for students and families navigating the scholarship process. So I want to just jump right into it and welcome my guest for today, Aaron Williams. Welcome to Light It Up, Aaron. How are you, sir?
I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm just recovering. No resetting, because you gotta do that Sunday reset every week to just reset your life and just to make sure it stays organized and just getting back to the groove of things for the upcoming week, because we almost on Thanksgiving break, so you bound to
Yeah.
come on real soon.
Yep. Well, I'm happy that you were able to take time out of your schedule. I know how it is with college students, always busy, and it's hard to kind of pin you all down. So I want to try to get through as much as we can and share as much as we can with the viewing and listening audience. So I'd like for us to start off with you introducing yourself. So if you could just share with the audience your name, where you're attending college, and your major.
Okay. My name is Aaron Williams. I currently attend Northern Illinois University as a freshman. I major in electrical engineering and technology, and so far I'm just doing my general gen ed courses. So, just going into like the basics of my major and the things that are required for it, math, communications, English, etc. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's pretty much the basics of what I'm doing.
Okay. All right. So why don't we take it back to where all of this started? So you're in your first semester of your freshman year of college at Northern Illinois University. But prior to getting there, this time a year ago, you were preparing, I'm sure, applying to colleges or probably had already completed your college application process. But if you could just take us back to where all of this started, when did you actually begin applying for scholarships and what motivated you to take the process seriously during your senior year of high school?
To start off the whole academic process, it started more so in my junior year for the whole college application process. So I had to start, making sure my grades were tight, and they start looking at your junior year grades to see what you're applicable for. That's what most institutions do. They start looking at your grades prior to the term before you go to college. So they don't have the your current grades like as you're a senior. So they look at those grades based off your junior year or possibly your sophomore year or even further back. So I just make sure I maintain that academic stability to make sure I didn't, slack or just didn't even have any blemishes when it came to that whole academic aspect of the application process. So they know I was airtight, and just to make sure that I was, well-rounded, participated in multiple things around campus, just to show them that I'm also well-rounded, or not on campus in school, not because I'm got that college fever, but it started back. It for me, it starts all the way back to freshman year. The moment you step foot into high school, that's when you first start your journey to the whole scholarship process because it's building up to something higher. If you know what you're working towards and you keep that consistent goal in your head, it's just gonna keep on like motivating you to till you reach that goal. Because once you're at the break of it, it's gonna be like you almost there. So just get the work done to make sure that everything goes off, or everything you set in motion goes off without any hiccups.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm glad that you actually mentioned the fact that you didn't just begin this process your senior year because you started the moment you step foot onto the high school campus freshman year, as far as making sure that you got involved, you kept up with your grades, and things of that nature. My question then to you is what motivated you to start that early in your high school journey, just preparing for college? And what motivated you to take the process seriously? Because a lot of times when students begin high school, they think they have so much time, right? But those 4 years go
Then
by
there-
really, really quickly. So, what was the motivation for you to kind of start the process from the start as far as preparing for scholarships and the college journey?
I will have to say my motivation will have to be just know having that opportunity to pursue a higher education because not everybody is granted that privilege in today's society because they're trying to revoke that from us right now. That wasn't a problem or a reoccurring problem like a few years ago, but just back then I had to make sure my priorities were straight because there's a lot of distractions. You know how high school is. It's a lot of he say she say. It's a lot of bickering, a lot of just games and like it's a lot of distractions. So I would have to say going into high school, making sure that I have my priorities straight, because I remember before I even stepped foot into high school, I was like, oh, on the first day of school, my mom had dropped me off. She was like, oh, this is a new playground. She said, you think you can do the whole valedictorian thing again? I was like, most definitely. She said, she betted, well, I wouldn't say betted me, but just putting that in my head, it kind of made me want to go for it harder just to make sure I could prove her wrong. But she's
Hmm.
not prove her wrong, but just to make sure I was on my P's and Q's so she can see that all that participation and all that time and effort that she put into all of her kids throughout the years, it did pay off because I'm not the first. Not even I'm not even the last, but
Hmm.
yeah, just to make sure that she knows she did right with at least one of us. Because I mean, all my siblings succeed in different things, but I just want to let her know that that whole educational aspect is something I didn't take for granted. Because she's also a educator, and that just to see that she did so much to make sure her kids had an education for themselves. Because to see how many youth just take they mistreat or they don't see the importance of their education because it's free, but just
Hmm.
to know in other places that people don't always have that privilege of receiving education or for it to even be free. So just taking that advantage of all the resources um that were given to me, that were provided to me, and those opportunities that were presented to me.
Okay. So a lot of students, they may want to begin the process of applying for scholarships and making sure that they find ways to help their parents reduce the out-of-pocket expense of their obtaining their degree, but they don't always know how to begin. So, what was the first concrete step that you took when starting your application search? And then what do you think should be students' very first step if they want to start today?
Hmm. I believe my first concrete step was, to make sure I have in mind, well, because there's a scholarship for pretty much everything. You just gotta, know where to look. Just knowing what your major is or what you're thinking about doing, because they have specific scholarships directed towards specific majors. So I'm a engineering major. They have scholarships directly targeted towards STEM related activities. So just looking at your degree or your field of work that you're gonna or you wanted to pursue in the future and seeing where that kind of fits in to the whole scholarship aspect. So say if someone wants to do nursing, they can find a school or a scholarship designated towards nursing towards more specifically, if they want to go into the whole culture aspect, like towards Black nurses or Hispanic or Asian, dot dot dot. So
Mhm.
there's different scholarships out there targeted towards specific audience, so everyone has that same opportunity to receive the funds needed to pursue a higher education. So I would say one of my most pivotal steps will have to be also just making sure I knew what field I wanted to go into and looking for scholarships that worked into that field, if that made sense. Or
Yeah.
looking at, like, outside scholarships, because a lot of big organizations around we see around our city, Chicago, it's a big place. You see scholarships everywhere. There's like funeral homes, they have scholarships.
Mhm.
Just knowing where to look with those Black owned scholarships, like Callahan. One I got was the Bud Billiken, and there's scholarships everywhere. And I know that some of my teachers kind of exposed this to me earlier because they knew they wanted to prepare me for what was to be expected. Because some of the opportunities I was well elected to have, or just even accepted to have, were given to me or recommended to me by teachers, or just staff administrators, that they saw my potential and they just wanted to give me that chance, or expose me to different things to help improve my odds of just discover things I like. Maybe I will like want to go in politics, because they also awarded me a chance to go to DC because they saw different things, or the leadership roles I took on throughout my school. So just making sure that you show your face and also show that drive and willingness to actually want to pursue something higher, because that don't go unnoticed. Other people will see it and they will want to help you get to that point sooner, or even expose you to things that may help you get to another point that you may have not known you wanted to take.
So, of course, having relationships with your teachers and staff members, or just anyone who's affiliated with any extracurricular activities that you were involved in, was also pivotal as far as you receiving information about scholarships or different opportunities as well.
Yes,
Correct.
and getting active within like your community or just within the school. People who may like an instance will be like an organization within most high schools in the US will be NHS. Most
Mhm.
students are not um drawn towards participating in NHS because they're like, oh, what's the use, or what do I gain out of it? Those being in organizations like that helps improve helps you stand out more than any other applicant. So it could be an applicant that receives all A's, B's. They can have no extracurriculars, no sports, no anything on the application. They're going to look at the person who actually is involving themselves around the school, who actually is showing their face, who's giving back to their community. Because NHS isn't just like a small organization to say, oh, I'm in the honor society. It's an
Mhm.
organization where it helps you build that character of scholarship, leadership, character. That's their motto. So just participating in that program opens you up to actual scholarship as well. Actually, another scholarship I received was the National Honor Society scholarship. I was a semi-finalist for that. They did award that to me. So just know participating in different programs or different electives can just present you with even more scholarship opportunities that you may have not been exposed to previously.
Okay. So once the process starts, I would think that staying organized becomes incredibly important to the scholarship application process. How do you keep track of deadlines, essays, and application requirements? Um, what systems or tools help you stay on top of everything as far as the scholarship deadlines were concerned, and still being able to manage your day-to-day activities and schoolwork and things of that nature. So, how did you keep track of everything?
I can't lie, it was like a second job. It got overwhelming because in my school, we had to use a platform called School Links. So basically what that means, every scholarship or what was that college acceptance that we received throughout our course of our senior year or our junior year, because I got early acceptances, we had to log that into School Links. Like we had to get the institution, we had to give how much merit money they gave us, how much out of pocket we have to pay, all of that. So due to how I got accepted to like over maybe 83 or over 100 institutions I believe, I had to log all of those individually, which was very daunting. And then I was also a IB student, which is an international baccalaureate student. which means I had to do a more heavier load of work compared to the other students that were throughout my building. So I had to make sure I got that work complete and also stayed on top of managing and cataloging and just making sure I jot down each scholarship opportunity that I was awarded. And I used one tool I used was, I believe, spreadsheets. So I had to create different columns. One was towards institutions, one was towards the how much mirror money, and one was towards how long the mirror money is going to be awarded. So like do a span of 2 years or do a span of 4 years, because they might do 2 years because of a JUCO, or like 4 years because of a full standard college experience. So that's one of the tools I use. And to like make sure like outside scholarships, not for the institutional scholarships that weren't applied to institutional, I had to make a separate spreadsheet for that to let them so I can collect how much money I had got or received towards me that didn't go to the institution, but that will go straight to my pocket. So those were two different spreadsheets I had to create, one for institutional scholarships and one for private scholarships.
Okay. Now we know clearly that part of being organized is knowing how to be strategic about where you invest your time. How did you decide which scholarships were worth applying for?
Um, I really didn't I really didn't count any scholarships out per se, because I would say every ounce of support and money helps, because it's
Hmm.
little things like it was like I was awarded a $500 scholarship. It's not as substantial as, let's say a PepsiCo scholarship or like the Gates scholarship, but it's still something allocated to your future. It's something allocated to your overall academic improvement. So applying for every scholarship possible will have to be my most my most important piece of advice, because you don't want to count anything out, because you could be applying to those bigger scholarships with the expectations you get it, but you never know. If you apply for those little ones too, those add up as well, and you could possibly get those as well. So for instance, let's say you applied for a 2,500 PepsiCo scholarship, and that's just one scholarship, but then you applied to uh five different Greek-based scholarships, or small black-owned company scholarships. That's the same amount. And you got all five of those, that's the same amount. So I really don't count out applying for scholarships when it comes to that process, because some of them, if not all, well, I'm gonna say it's a good amount. They require some of the same things. So if you ever see anything that's repetitive, you could just tweak it and then just add more on to what they're asking, and that can be another application or something used for some to submit something else, if that makes sense.
Of course, you mentioned applying to multiple scholarships that may be $500 each and still land you the $2,500. Um, when we talk about scholarship application process, we have to obviously talk about essays, because I think that's probably where so many students get stuck. What approach did you take with your essays? Did you create a strong base essay and then tailor it, or did you write new ones for each application?
I'll have to say it was a mixture of both again. So, at my institution, they have one of the good things I liked about it was they had us write a personal statement, which is kind of what is looked for when it comes to the whole application process. Like, why are you a best fit for this application, or what's your strong suit, or what do you think? Why do you think you're applicable for this, or just things that build upon you and your character, basically. Just making sure that if that say if like one scholarship wants to go more into your personal life, one wants to go more into your academics. That personal statement kind of has a little bit of everything, but in the end, if they require more of something else, you can always go in and retweak it. So let's say if you want to just keep that same personal essay for another scholarship, you could just copy it, or just make a whole make a copy of it, then paste it into another doc, and to just implement more of the other aspects that they were looking for about your
Mhm.
personal life, or even possibly like how the other extracurriculars you may have been involved in, or just to show how you would be best applicable for that specific scholarship.
Right, right. Got it. Okay. So writing is one thing. So writing the essays is one thing, but telling your story in a compelling way is another. what do you think helped your essays stand out? Like, what storytelling strategies can other students apply to make their applications or their essays more memorable?
Mhm. I would say just telling your own story, not trying to like be a cliche, if that makes sense. Telling your own story, being unique, being genuine with it. Just telling where you come from, your background, the different sacrifices that were made for you to be where you are today, how hard you worked, and the different resources that you were provided and how you worked towards something that you really wanted. And it wasn't just, hesitant about going after something higher that would benefit you later on in life. Just making sure that you don't even be dissuaded to, oh, submit it, or just even talk about your own issues, because you never know, that might be something that the let's say the judges or the people who decide who progresses, that might be something they're looking for, just to see that you are somebody who came from not even came from a troubled past, like someone who overcame an obstacle that not everyone has the strength to do. Just showing your own background, showing that you have your own story that needs to be told, and that you have your own impact that you want to make upon this world, if that makes sense.
Yep, makes perfect sense. Thank you. And I would say, as you know, obviously were able to secure so many scholarship offers. This process is definitely rewarding, but I'm sure it can also be tough and exhausting. So, how did you stay motivated throughout the entire process? Like, especially during moments where you may have felt tired or overwhelmed or discouraged, because senioritis is a real thing. And I mean, you were involved
Mhm.
in many activities as well. So, how did you stay motivated throughout this entire process?
I would just say, knowing what I was working towards, always keeping my mother in heart, because she was the one who introduced me to these different let's say activities that I were put in, because I know it's not just like to waste time. I know it's gonna be beneficiary to me eventually. Because an example would be, she put me in, not put me in, well, she still gave me opportunity to ask me if I actually want to be in it. But I was in like three, I believe, three cotillions for black debutantes. And it wasn't at first, the first time I did it, I escorted my sister, my twin sister, and I believe was that 2023, 24, I believe. And just the whole aspect, it was kind of tiring. You had a lot of stuff going on. It was only my junior year, so I wasn't really pressed on time. But that whole aspect of the whole, just being around like-minded people, and
Mhm,
so many people my age, seeing them also do great things, because there's a section in the cotillion where they like read off people bios and the different things that they were comprised of. Like, I've heard so many good things that people had done, like community service, establishing foundations for homeless people, and those different things could also be used or applicable towards scholarships. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not doing enough. Like,
mhm,
like that's how good the stuff. That's how good the things that I heard about these different youth were. Like, they have so much things that are going on in their life, so many things that they're advocating for, so many things that they believe in, that can be used to tell their story. And that could be something that can possibly award them scholarships. So they never know. But just making sure I kept my mother in heart, because she made so many sacrifices, and she exposed me to these different things. Um, so I can like have this mindset of being, we have to work for what we want, and just to make sure that I'm not I'm not forgetting how what we had to go through in order to get here, because it's the history behind the cotillion and everything that it stands for. So just knowing that everything that we are awarded, everything that we are able to have in this period in time, is a privilege, and I don't want to take that for granted.
gotcha. Well, we know that challenges are inevitable, but I would say that they often teach us the most as well. What was the biggest challenge that you faced during your scholarship journey, and how did you overcome it?
I believe, I mean, the workload wasn't really hard. I'm always able to complete an assignment out of nothing. Like, it could be an assignment on Jim Crow, or like just writing an essay about cats or dogs, or some oblivious essay, or just something that's irrelevant. I could get that get that done. It's not even about the workload. It's about making sure I manage my time well because I did participate in a lot of things. I never had my Sundays free for real because I always had a practice for those cotillions during my senior year of high school. So just making sure I manage my time effectively because I was managing the basketball team, the volleyball team, president of two different organizations, and still completing the applications at the same time. So just designating different days towards different things. So just tackling one problem at a time. So maybe Tuesday, Thursday could be centered towards scholarships. Then Monday, Wednesday could be towards academics and just making sure you're on point with all your schoolwork and everything's turned in a timely manner. And then we can do like Friday with actually like jotting down and making sure you categorize each scholarship alphabetically. It don't necessarily have to be alphabetically, but it does help keep organization intact. So just making sure you stay organized with every aspect of your life so different things don't overlap or get cluttered.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So clearly, all of that hard work and effort that you put in um, with, locating scholarships, applying scholarships, being involved in different activities led to what I would say an incredible outcome. So, at what point, like with all of the work that you put into applying for scholarships, at what point did you realize that your scholarship offers had reached more than $2.4 million?
It was actually at a scholarship event where I was awarded the opportunity to like share my story. After that, they had basically acknowledged me at an event I went to, and then I had met a newswoman at that specific event, and that I was just talking to her, networking, because that's also how different opportunities are awarded. You network with different individuals because you never know if they hold positions of power or if they can just if they're interested in the story you have to share. So I was able to share my story with Karen Jordan. She was the first person who actually aired my story, and she was very fascinated with it. And after she was interested, that showed me that actually this is actually something pivotal that was going on. And I knew it was going to be something pivotal because I surpassed my brother because he did get 1 million in scholarships. So I knew it was going to be something big. But after that, I knew that my I have 8 million now. $8 million in scholarships will be something pivotal to
Wow.
talk about. So yeah,
So now you have $8 million
yeah,
total in
yeah.
scholarship offers. All right. Well, then how did that impact your college decision?
I mean, I know people don't understand you can receive a scholarship anywhere. It's just
Mhm.
about I mean, not I said scholarship. Education anywhere. It's just about how badly you want it. There are some good institutions within the state of Illinois that not enough students are taking advantage of. And plus, there's like different programs set in motion for Illinois students that allows them to go to college easier. So like specifically if you're a part of Chicago public schools, I believe like your tuition is kind of I think it's a decreased tuition because the in-state fee compared to the out-of-state fee, so you don't have to pay that much compared to people coming from Florida or Alabama, stuff like that. So just making sure I kept all those aspects in mind and the different things that our state had to offer before looking out of state because there were some good institutions out of state. They had some good some good engineering programs. I know one of them was Indiana State. I think a good one in state is IIT,
Mhm.
and UIC has a good engineering program. There's I think they have one of the best engineering programs if I'm not mistaken. So looking in state because most of the resources we have within state is more than substantial enough to take me where I need to be, rather than paying shoot at a HBC like 50K. I'm not even saying like towards Howard because I know I heard a story about I read about Howard how they're playing with their tuition and the fast. So I'm like, oh no, I don't got time for that. I'm not trying to get kicked out my dorm. And plus, they I feel like Illinois schools are more accommodational or accommodate Illinois students' needs more because if I went to out of state, I would probably have to share a bathroom or like bunk with other people. But at the institution I'm currently at, in NIU, I currently have a single and I have my own bathroom. So, just make sure I'm comfortable because I'm a very picky person. I'm organized. I don't like, um, I really don't like sharing, but I share some with everybody. I share some with someone my whole life. So, That's kind of the whole aspect of it. But you know, just making sure I took advantage of the resources that were provided to me in state and that those opportunities weren't just something to pass by. So
Okay. So before we wrap up, because I know your time is valuable as a college student, I want to be able to leave our viewers and listeners with some clear strategies that they can use because that's what they've been asking for. So if you had to share three key strategies that truly helped you earn scholarships, what would they be?
three key strategies that will help me earn scholarships will have to be I will have to say there's levels to it. So for I want to say for freshmen, you know it's always a time to play. You know, you want to enjoy yourself in high school. You know, it's just you just getting there. But I know I was told this a million times, but I never actually believed it till I was there. I was told this in eighth grade, I believe. High school goes by so fast. I feel like I just entered high school yesterday. I can remember every little aspect about my first day. So just making sure you know what your priority is, because to me, for me, my first 2 years of high school was the easiest of my life. Like it was to the point where I can blink and get an A. So just making sure you know if you want to work towards that, or if you know what you want in the future, just start working towards that goal, making sure you involve yourself and start networking early, because there's opportunities all around Chicago that can point you towards your specific career path. So if you want to go into politics, there's a program for politics. One will be Make the Challenge. I participated in like for 3 years, I think. Those, and plus you get paid. They try to make sure that you have some source of income, and just making sure you expose yourself to these different programs and opportunities that are out here.
Mhm,
For sophomores, I would say getting more so into the aspect of trying to get in the competitive or the higher ed courses. So like what's that, AP, IB, just
mhm,
trying to make your way or build up to that aspect of getting in those higher or more proficient programs uh that are accessible to you at your school. So maybe
mhm,
your school has IB and AP, you will want to take both. My school only allowed me to do IB because they didn't have AP courses. So just involving yourself in something like that, that will help you take your education to a different level and also put you on the radar for different college and universities. For juniors, I would say make sure you stay in your P's and Q's when it comes to the whole academic aspect, because junior year is your most important year. You take your SATs or ACTs that year, and some schools don't require it right now anymore, but it does help for you to know before it does help for you to get a specific score on that, because that still plays a pivotal role. It might not be required, but let's say if you slacked off or you didn't get the best of grades for the first semester in your whole academic career, the ACT or the SAT can help make up for whatever you may have missed. So like you could have got maybe average B's and C's, but if you score maybe like let's say a 1400 or even a 1450 on the ACT, the SAT, then you will be good, basically, because that shows them that you are knowledgeable and that you are well versed on each topic that you were learning throughout your span of the last 4 years of high school. So, and also I recommend just to get active and like make sure you have some type of school involvement or student involvement within your school, just to let them know that you are more than books and that you are more than just getting the work done, just to let them know that you're a well-rounded individual. And for seniors, I would recommend that they start applying. Well, I would say the earliest to apply, I would say is your last semester of your junior year. But the earliest you should be applying, all the scholarships fill up really quickly. The best scholarships are usually available in the fall because they are giving out the minimum in the spring. So what's ever left, like what's left in the spring, that's what you're gonna get. They just give out like maybe like 500, 200. But like I said, those scholarships are still worth something. So it's still worth it to apply earlier in the fall so you can get access to all the big money, all like I feel like I'm playing Wheel of Fortune, big money, all
mhm,
that. So just making sure you look at those scholarships that are centered towards you, that reflects your goals or your ideals, like STEM, nursing, maybe possibly your culture, where you came from, different things that may have evolved you or that could be relative to you. I'm sorry. Um,
Okay.
and so I know that was a lot to handle, but like the big three, I would have to say is make sure you stay academically consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you note all of your not say let's not say accomplishments, but all of your involvement, like the different things you participated in throughout your high school experience, because that's going to be used on an academic resume that can be used in scholarships, stuff like that. And then I would say that goes more to also, documenting your leadership roles. And lastly, making sure you connect and make sure you build good relationships with teachers, administrators, and like just adults that are pivotal in your life or they may have influence. So you never know. You may not like to say you may not like your English teacher, but you never know she has connections to let's say ABC or PepsiCo. You never know who she knows. So just make sure you building bridges with people who can take you far and actually build and feed into your overall academic growth.
Okay. That's very good strategies to share. So finally, I would say let's speak directly to students and families who might feel intimidated or unsure about this process. What message would you give to a student or a parent who wants to start the scholarship process but feels overwhelmed and doesn't know where to begin?
Hmm. I would say first begin with, I mean, first I would tell you take a breath because I know it can be kind of daunting to go into these unfamiliar territory because some parents aren't as familiar with the whole scholarship process. This could be their first, their last, or the first time of them ever doing this process. So don't be dissuaded from doing the scholarship process entirely. Just take a deep breath and just look into the little aspects when it comes to the scholarship process. So like, what am I applicable first? Like, look at the scholarships that my student or my kid is applicable to first. So then once they identify those specific scholarships or the ones they may want to apply for, then they can just start that whole process, look at what each scholarship, the requirements for each scholarship. Maybe they have similar requirements, maybe they have different, and just making sure that you go one by one, completing those aspects for those specific scholarships. So say if one scholarship wants you to talk about um like triumphs and tragedies in your life to why you think you deserve this, or another one wants you to talk about your community service involvement and why do you think you should be awarded this specific scholarship or stuff like that. So just making sure you just take everything piece by piece and not try to just absorb it and just take it all in at once because that's what makes you overwhelmed, and that's what makes me almost made me overwhelmed, just thinking at the bigger picture and like this is a lot of work. But if you break it down in increments and actually think about the workload, it's not that much. You just got to learn how to manage it and learn how to take it on, if that makes sense.
Yep, makes perfect sense. So taking it smaller increments versus trying to tackle it all
Yeah,
at
just like
once.
instead of like picking like, oh, apply for this, apply for this, apply for this, make sure it's something that you think is significant to you and that aligns with you. So make sure it's not just like, oh, I'm just applying just to apply.
Hmm.
Like make sure it's something specific because if it's something centered towards you, say if it's like something about community service, like I said, these kids and this cotillion, they did a lot of things towards giving back to their communities, clothing drive, stuff like that. They can share their story about what they did to support that cause of giving back. And that could be another story to implement into a scholarship. So each aspect of your life is a different story that you want to tell based off the scholarship you want to apply. So it doesn't per se, it's not a big of a deal, but just knowing that if you take your time with it, it's something that you can obtain.
Hmm. Okay. Well, I want to thank you, Aaron, for sharing your story and for giving our listeners and viewers, I think, some real practical insight into what the scholarship process can look like, um, essentially, when you approach it with intention and consistency. So, I would definitely say that your journey is an inspiration. I'm sure that those who are tuning in, are inspired, and are ready to get to work to look for those scholarships and apply for those scholarships. So thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to join me today. I really appreciate it.
Oh,
Uh,
it's no problem at all.
all righty. And to our viewers and listeners, I hope this conversation with Erin Williams, who's a freshman at Northern Illinois University, studying engineering, motivates you to take action. So just know that the money is out there. You just have to go after it, essentially. So I think these last few episodes about scholarships, that has definitely been consistent in terms of the messaging that the scholarships are out there. You just have to go out there and look for them, have a strategy for applying, and remain consistent because that hard work and consistency will definitely pay off. So, if you appreciated what you heard on the podcast today, make sure you share it with someone who can benefit from the information that Erin shared with us today. And don't forget to also like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. Tune in every Tuesday for a brand new episode. So until next time, remember to continue to light it up and shine bright like a diamond. Thanks for joining me this week on Light It Up. Make sure you visit my website at www.lightituppodcast.com or www.aginahmuhammad.com. You can also find me on social media using the handle at Light It Up Podcast. If you like what you've heard, please be sure to hit the subscribe button so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, I'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or you can simply tell a friend about the show. Be sure to tune in every Tuesday for a new episode. Until next time, light it up and shine bright like a diamond.